Nick Cave, Faith, Hope and Carnage. In Faith, Hope and Carnage, we delve into the life and creative process of prolific musician Nick Cave. This book summary reveals his journey through the complexities of songwriting, his relationship with the audience, and the impact of personal grief on his work. We will explore the importance of provocation in Cave's oeuvre, his encounters with love, and his quest for re-enchantment. As we immerse in Cave's intimate thoughts, we'll better understand how the intertwined concepts of love, pain, and suffering drive him to keep creating and evolving.
The Enchantment of Creation. Even after penning over 250 songs, Nick Cave remains driven by a passion for creative reinvention. With each new work, he seeks to avoid the comfort of familiar ideas and instead strives for a fresh, original sound. This drive may cost him some fans, but it leads to a constantly evolving audience. A fervor for provocation characterizes Cave's art, both on stage and in songwriting. He aims to challenge and unsettle. Ultimately, the enchantment of this creative process lies in its capacity to continually rekindle his love for the world. When you consider that Nick Cave has written more than 250 songs, you might assume that the blank page wouldn't intimidate him. Yet, this 65-year-old musician confesses that the mere thought of starting a new song still stirs up fear. With many of his contemporaries long gone from the limelight, you can't help but wonder, what keeps him creating? To a degree, even Cave himself struggles to answer that question. Songwriting, especially in its early stages, can be agonizing as the anxiety builds. Occasionally he'll be guided by a hazy image, like the immense ice sculpture of a man that inspired his recent album, Ghosteen. Other times, he won't even have that. He begins by etching out little piles of words that, at first, seem entirely inconsequential. But then, a miraculous thing happens, glimmers of meaning emerge from the chaos, and these flickers of inspiration spark patterns, messages, and connections. He compares the process to decoding a hidden message. The knowledge and insight were there all along, just waiting to be discovered. Yet Cave doesn't cease his exploration at the eureka moment. 40 years of songwriting have taught him not to settle for residual ideas, which masquerade as epiphanies but are actually superficial notions. These ideas feel too comfortable and familiar, traits that typically endear them to record companies. Instead, he patiently perseveres, seeking out the challenging and unfamiliar, willing to sacrifice some of his fan base in search of newness and surprise. At the core of Cave's career lies a commitment to provocation. As a rebellious youth in Warrnambool, Australia, he considered it his sacred duty to offend. Today, decades later, he maintains the same conviction: art should startle and disturb. This stance leads to a complicated relationship with cancel culture. While Cave appreciates the need for accountability, he believes the rise of cancellation has stifled artistic expression, fostering a climate of timidity where artists hesitate to broach uncomfortable topics. Whether his songs are provocative or tender, Cave's artistry shines brightest on stage. He captivates audiences with charisma and swagger while connecting with a heartfelt vulnerability. These performances offer him a near-religious euphoria, as intense as the emotional bond he cultivates with his listeners. Perhaps this spiritual fulfillment is what keeps him tethered to the creative process. Re-enchantment is a word that continually resurfaces in Cave's narrative. Through crafting vivid lyrical imagery, venturing into unexplored realms of self-expression, and savoring the transcendental ecstasy of performance, Cave discovers fresh ways to fall in love with the world. Love's impact on Nick Cave. In the late 1970s, Nick Cave was known for his shocking performances as the frontman for the Birthday Party. The band spiraled out of control due to addictions and ego clashes, but Cave's life took a turn for the better after finding love. His mother, Dawn, provided unwavering support in his younger days, while his wife, Susie, motivated him to get clean. Despite the tragic death of their son, love remains a powerful force in Cave's life. Back in the late 70s, Nick Cave's unruly stage presence as the leader of the birthday party filled pubs in St. Kilda with chaos and intrigue. The band had a tumultuous career revolving around addictions and ego clashes. Cave himself struggled with heroin and amphetamines, all while boasting the largest ego among his bandmates. On their quest for success, they squatted in dilapidated West London mansions and immersed themselves in the gritty punk scene of divided Berlin. Fast forward to the present, and Cave's lifestyle stands in stark contrast to those wild days. Residing in Brighton with Susie Bick, his fashion designer wife, he enjoys ceramics and proudly displays a fashionable pink kitchen. So, has love softened the formerly untamed Cave? In some ways, definitely, but his journey has been more complex. Throughout his life, Cave has always felt the love of his mother, Dawn. Despite giving her ample reasons for concern, including a drug search and interrogation at Melbourne Airport, she never tried to suppress his artistic flair. Growing up in conservative Warrnambool, his mother's unwavering love acted as a safety net, preventing Cave from falling too far into darkness. Susie, however, became the catalyst for a profound change. As a recovering addict herself, she fell in love with Cave but knew her fragile sobriety could be jeopardized by their relationship. After a passionate beginning, she cut ties, leaving Cave in despair. When Susie returned months later, Cave realized he had to get clean to avoid losing her for good. After unsuccessful stints in numerous British rehab clinics, he finally found sobriety in Arizona and has maintained it ever since. Their love story took a tragic turn when their teenage son, Arthur, died after accidentally falling from a cliff in Brighton. The heartache is evident in a verse of Cave's song, Spinning Song, on his album Ghosteen. The words describe a memory of Susie at the kitchen table moments before they received the devastating news, culminating in an emotional declaration of love. Despite this unbearable loss, love has remained a driving force in Nick Cave's life. It has pulled him from the brink of disaster time and again, shaping him into the man he is today. Gifts from Ghosteen. Nick Cave faced profound tragedy when his son Arthur passed away. Through this experience, Cave and his wife Susie discovered immense inner strength, the importance of their bond, and the thin border between the mortal and spiritual worlds. Work played a vital role in their healing process, and the album Ghosteen became a manifestation of Arthur's presence. Despite their unimaginable loss, the couple found gifts within their grief, including an expanded capacity for emotions like joy and a deepened sense of connectivity. One fateful afternoon, while working on his 16th album, Skeleton Tree, musician Nick Cave received a devastating phone call. His son, Arthur, was found lifeless at the bottom of a cliff. Struggling with immeasurable despair, Cave and his wife, Susie, had to find a way to survive this unexpected tragedy. Drawn towards each other, Nick and Susie's strong bond served as their lifeline. As one person started to crumble, the other would step in as a support. Anchored in work, Susie channeled her energy towards her fashion label, The Vampire's Wife, while Cave completed Skeleton Tree, despite being unable to listen to it in its entirety. Cave's next project, Ghosteen, became an exploration of the thin veil separating the mortal and spiritual worlds. As he began recording, he felt the undeniable presence of Arthur in the process. Cave believes that Ghosteen was a gift from Arthur, and through this album, Arthur remains present during live performances. Nick and Susie recognized many gifts from their son, both from his time on Earth and now in his absence. They experienced kindness and patience from others and found newfound courage and disdain for strict rules. Cave discovered that the pain of losing Arthur caused his heart to expand, allowing it to embrace joy with equal intensity. Although he would give anything to have his son back, Cave understands that he must live with his loss. Rather than emerging transformed after a period of grieving, he arrived at the realization that he now inhabits a space of perpetual grief, a space that has mysteriously transformed him. A new person now, Cave acknowledges that everything he does will always be in some way about Arthur. Encased in profound isolation, Cave eventually found himself discovering deep connections. His experiences taught him that the kind of grief he faced will find everyone eventually, whether through death, trauma, or the end of a relationship. However, contrary to generating pessimism, this knowledge made him feel more connected to others. With this sense of universal connectivity, Nick Cave sought to do something meaningful with his newfound perspective, using his gifts from Ghosteen to forge stronger emotional bonds and create poignant art that transcends the realms of the mortal and the spiritual. Embracing universal suffering. After his son Arthur's death, Australian artist Nick Cave started the Red Hand Files, an online project where he responds to letters from people who share their stories of pain and suffering. Cave finds solace and meaning in this process, which he likens to writing a song. Drawing on the Buddhist parable of Kisa Gautami, he embraces the idea that suffering is universal, and instead of wallowing in despair, he chooses to celebrate love, happiness, and human connection even amidst grief and heartache. In response to the deluge of letters from people seeking answers and comfort in the face of immense pain, Nick Cave dedicated himself to the Red Hand Files project. He compares responding to these letters to composing a song, as he patiently waits for meaningful revelations to emerge through his words. The Red Hand Files project has seen Cave publish more than 200 responses on the internet, as he receives between 50 and 100 letters daily. Taking the time to read each and every one, he considers the process akin to meditation or prayer. What strikes him in these letters is the persistent message that suffering is a universal human experience. In his song, Hollywood, from the album Ghosteen, Cave recounts the Buddhist parable of Kisa Gautami, a grieving mother who embarks on a hopeless quest for a mustard seed that can magically restore her dead child. Through her journey, she eventually realizes that suffering is an integral part of every human life. Instead of succumbing to despair, Kisa begins the delicate process of grieving her loss while continuing to embrace life. Nick Cave embraces this parable's lesson on the universality of suffering as a call to arms. While his earlier music expressed disdain for the world, the seasoned artist now chooses to emphasize love, happiness, and connection as a potent form of rebellion against the world's inherent cruelty. By understanding that love and pain are deeply intertwined, Cave sees opportunities for love to emerge even in the wake of grief. Cave's outlook is epitomized in a reply to a letter posted on the Red Hand Files: "Dread grief trails bright phantoms in its wake." As he navigates his own journey through loss and mourning, he continues to find meaning and solace in connecting with others experiencing the collective pain and heartache that define the human condition.
Nick Cave's Faith, Hope and Carnage offers a revelatory look at the remarkable songwriter's life, emphasizing the significance of persistence, love, and embracing challenges in the creative process. The book's summary highlights his dedication to provocation, refusal to rely on residual ideas, and constant aim for something new. Through love and the pain of grief, Cave continues to grow and connect with his audience, providing insight into shared sufferings. Lastly, Faith, Hope and Carnage serves as a reminder of how experiences shape the art we create, demonstrating the power and resilience of the human spirit amidst life's adversities.